and then it gets larger as it goes back. And again, and a person can, if they want to, they can, before they even take that pelvic limb off, they can cut in here and try to go around it. The tenderloin itself kind of terminates right in here, and it actually gets, it's got another muscle that wraps around it going back in there, sometimes called the wing muscle. A little like that, that's kind of on it when you get back in there.
So when we look at tenders, especially on cattle, the top end of that we call butt end tenders.
Yep.
Butt end tenders.
Okay.
They actually sell them just like that for some restaurants if they want. It's cost savings for the restaurant. They don't have to have the whole tenderloin. You can get just what they need.
So, by the way, so I peeled that fat off of there so you can see this tenderloin well. If you're going to leave that in a cooler for a while, don't uncover it. Because every place we expose lean is a high moisture area that's going to dehydrate in the cooler. Okay, so this is our, again, this is pelvic limb or leg, fresh pork leg, whatever you call it. Okay, this is our side. Now, this can be kind of challenging. If we're going to separate off this side from the loin, we want to go in kind of just inside this area. And we want to go just outside of the tenderloin on this end. So I'm going to come up here, and we kind of want to make a line kind of more or less between point A and just inside this vertebral edge up here. We kind of want to make a line that's kind of close to being straight. It doesn't have to be perfectly straight. It's okay if you follow a little of the curvature of the loin, but it's also kind of harder. The more you try to follow curvature with a saw like this, the harder it is. If you got it on a bandsaw, you can kind of manipulate it a little bit. You don't really gain much from doing that. It's just a matter of what's up to you. Now, there's no bone underneath this all the way up to this point. I can feel that last rib right there. So you guys are wondering about ribs. I can feel it right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Ribs in this picture. Okay, so now to cut this, so obviously I'm not going to cut up in there but this is where a bandsaw is very handy. And a longer handsaw is handy. This saw's one end's pretty good, the other end's a little short.
Yep, I was just gonna say.
That's basically what you're doing. You're splitting the belly and the loin apart, right?
I'm splitting the loin from the loin.
Correct.
Okay,
Okay, we're good.
so now I want to show you something. Take it so the line is off the side. Use gravity.
Yeah.
Okay, so cut. I can't do or hold, whichever. The idea though is that hanging this off the table just a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, your board's okay. You got to hold that. By using gravity, it allows you to help you in the cutting. So as you cut,
It's a left-handed knife, by the way.
oh, is that right? Could you give me the Japanese left-handed smoke bender, please?
Yeah.
One of the things,
I got two questions. Why don't you open it up from the other side and then saw it up? And is there a certain distance you have to be from the spine, or how do you know when you got that nice line?
well, So it's the length of the ribs.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to look at here. Okay. So these would be your baby back ribs over here.
Right.
They could go a little longer or not. Doesn't matter. Ron pointed out earlier about how where they made this cut here depending on the per pound price for ham or per pound price for loins. Well, the same follows for the belly. Per pound price for bacon.
Yep.
So if we're getting more money for bacon, we're going to take more over to the bacon side. Okay. It varies on that.
And another thing that comes into that is that where I kind of cut this pretty tight there, I probably should have been out a little more, because if you, so what the processors figured out a number of years ago, and I got this purely by discovery when I was on a tour of a big meat processing facility. They were talking about breakdown. I was in there with a group of students, and they talked about that when they, so this set here, right here, these ribs here, this portion, I mean, this is the rest of it. So these are going to be our spare ribs, okay? And these are our baby back ribs. And the way you get the baby back ribs, you take a saw and you scribe this angle off through there, and then you can cut underneath there and take that baby back rib out. If you leave more rib there, you got more product to work with. So I did cut these a little tight. You don't need to cut them that tight. What I learned at that processor a number of years ago was that they used to be, back in the day, they would cut those ribs off and they'd try to take them as tight to the rib as they could and leave the most product they could with the loin muscle that's underneath there. Leave more of that muscle with the loin and take it off of those baby back ribs. For those processors, they are selling baby back ribs for more money than they are selling pork loins. They have stopped scalping and taking and leaving as much muscle as they can with the loin. They're cutting and taking the bottom part of that loin off, leaving it with the baby back rib. So they've not only shifted the weight, they've made a better baby back rib. Now you've got a baby back rib that's not just 90% bone. It's got some real muscle to it. And so everybody wins. They win because they can sell that for more than they can sell this. And they also, the consumer gets a better product. It was one of those like, who thought about that?
But
and it's so cool.
It does make sense though, because
Oh yeah, it's absolutely
every
makes sense.
part of this animal you can shift
Yep.
to one or the other depending on what your per pound price of those items are. And that's why pork in particular is a very versatile meat for me in the culinary world. There are so many ways I can go with this. And you know what really changed it, what he speaks to, is barbecue. The whole barbecue craze in the United States is what actually probably made that happen more than anything else.
Probably was, yeah.
Because they're always looking for ways to win in the competitive world, because it's huge. And so the guy that showed up that day with the baby back ribs with the extra meat on there probably earned some points.
He found favor with the judges.
Right, right. So, and the use of this animal too, it speaks to why we did duck last week. The duck is extremely versatile in the same way. Like on the stove right now is the stock from all your duck bones cooking down. The duck fat is inside there, rendered down. And if you look at all the things we got out of those ducks, it's no different than a pig.
So another reason that I probably should have cut that rib a little longer on this edge, I've got a little piece of the bone down here that was off of the scapula. Been off the bottom edge of the scapula. If I'd have come down, if I'd have gone just a little bit further, I wouldn't have to dig that out. So just plan on making yours when you cut them. Cut that a little farther out. The thing is, there's no hard defined thou shalt cut it this way. It's not in some magic pages that were created somewhere that says you've got it. Some of that depends. Okay, Heather's about to insert that. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, traditionally, like I always learned 3 and 4 on your ribs, but you're using your visual cues as your like establishing point, so coming down under that armpit area, as opposed to counting out your ribs. Is that how you do it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's either way. Yeah, I've heard a reference to, so you'd cut it between the third and fourth rib,
That's how I teach it.
and that's fair. I've heard it called, you know, people talk about making a 2.5 rib, like they're going to literally split one, a 2.5 rib, a 3.5 rib.
And I think that speaks to what Ron and Paul
Yeah.
are just saying is where are you going to get the most economy and value out of your animal? So leaving more meat on your ribs, you're going to get more value there. Like, do you want more loin? That used to be the most sought after.
That was the
part.
can, yeah.
And so you might want to cut that shoulder back a little bit and leave more bites.
Well, for a long time, pork bellies ruled.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and they still do.
Yeah, I would say I think that's the most
They still do.
expensive right now.
Well, they can make. There's more margin.
Yes.
That's
Although I've
where
seen
it's at. It's a more margin.
Shoulders go up quite a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah. Shoulders have gone wild. And see, this is a kind of a, you know, cartilage piece off of the scapula that I wound up having on this. That if I'd have moved it out a little and maybe even left another rib, would have been fine as well. Would have shifted more weight to that shoulder, which we know has value also. I wouldn't have had to dig that out either. So that's this is essentially our belly. Now we take these spare ribs out, okay? And the way you're gonna want to take the spare ribs out, we do a couple of things. One thing is we want to cut on these. We're still gonna get more money, more value out of the belly itself than we, for the most part, do out of the ribs. So we're going to cut and be fairly tight to the ribs, and I'm literally just kind of working my way along here, lifting on that rib as I go. And you'll find it's easier if you work kind of